So I am back. I took yesterday off for a couple of reasons. I had a lot of stuff going on, mostly because I had 10,000 errands, but I'm back. Let me introduce myself, just in case you don't know who I am. I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I used to write for Pathos for nearly 10 years, a column called No Longer Quivering, which I talked about the quiverful movement. I talked about evangelical and fundamentalist religions, all the ways it can go crazy, which is kind of what I'm going to talk about today. Do all the YouTube things, hit like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. I really appreciate that. Also, these are just my opinions. Don't bully anybody. Do your own research and figure out if what I'm saying is true, because I really don't want to twist anybody's arm to believe in this crap. But I have 10,000 or a million stories about my time in Quiverful and a Quiverful evangelical kind of church. And I got to get this off my shoulders. It's driving me slightly mad this morning. Um, Today, the thing I really wanted to talk about, I want to do at the end, talk about whatever, because there are a lot of people that have a lot of different questions about things that may not fit with what I'm about to talk about. I wanted to talk a little bit about personal revelation, because that was something at my old church that I saw that really screwed things up, really added a whole lot of crazy to everything. What do I mean? Stuff like you might pray and the thought might come to your brain to say something about something you're hearing. It could be something like, for example, I remember praying for a lady and getting the revelation that I was supposed to tell her a scripture from Romans. I can't remember exactly which one, but it was the one that said, nothing can separate. What can separate us from the love of God? Not height, not depth, nothing. And I passed that along. Now at the time, I'm looking back and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe those aren't the most wonderful things to be passing along. And some of the ones that I got to witness in my old church were so bizarre. There was one that happened, a personal revelation, where a guy got a revelation that he was supposed to be a missionary. Him and his wife took out this huge map. His wife was 8 or 9 months pregnant, too, by the way, about 8 maybe. They took a safety pin and flicked it at that map. And where the safety pin landed was where they went on their mission trip. And they said that that was where God had laid on their heart. They were going to end up there someday as permanent full-time missionaries. So they hopped on a plane and they went to this little middle of the jungle place, and I guess Brazil it was. And hey, Jan, good morning. And this woman, the woman that was pregnant, the wife, something happened to her there. I don't even remember what it was, but she ended up, her baby was born with significant issues, I'm just going to say, and was never normal. And I've always wondered if maybe that last second mission trip into the jungle may have had an effect. I don't know. But for all the years that they've been verklimping about moving to this place to be missionaries, it's never actually taken place. The woman is quite sick. The son that I'm talking about, he's in a home for other children like him because his mother just could not take care of him because she had issues. And I don't see them any closer to being able to be missionaries in this Brazilian jungle. I guess what I'm trying to say is you have to really treat personal revelation with not a grain of salt, but a huge boulder of salt, particularly when it's about other people. Yeah, so that's one way that the church seeks to control people is through the quote personal revelation. Some of it I saw was just downright silly. One time I was given one that I really freaked out over. I was given a couple. I was given one that my son should not ever get into a red sports car or he would pay not with his life, but he would be so seriously injured that it would be years before he recovered. They told me this one Sunday morning. Somebody had gotten this, and I wept for days and forbidden my son from getting into a red sports car, which was stupid looking back upon it. Our pastor, he started out well by saying a personal revelation should always be uplifting. It should say and do nice things for the person. That if you're getting negative revelation about somebody that you don't like or you've had a run-in with, that you should keep it to yourself. Another horrible one I got was something about God was going to make me climb through the mountains, but he's going to give me the feet of a hen's feet, which in the Bible is described as some kind of small deer or sheep, if I remember right. I was focusing on the mountains because I had just come out of a really horrible place in my life where things were just going haywire, and I was not eager to be tortured again. So what's making me think about this and talk about this and write about this in my book? A couple of things. Yesterday, I saw the demented ravings of a wannabe female cultural enforcer for Evangelical Dundytown that said that if you kissed a member of the opposite sex, your lips were no longer virginal. You had defrauded your future husband of those lips and that first kiss. I was going, what the hell? I started doing research on kissing and how far back it started and the traditions of kissing. Kissing in great literature, like in Romeo and Juliet, when they first meet and they start having this conversation about kissing, and she said they would only kiss like holy palmers kiss when they put their palms together. And they did end up really kissing, and there was a lot of kissing in the book. It was written, the play, it was written back in the 1500s. So I think it's pretty safe to say that kissing has been a pretty normal part of society with people that you're comfortable with for a long time. And it's not sinful. If it was sinful, I believe that it would have been mentioned in the Bible. Somebody else would have gotten personal revelation hundreds of years before about this if kissing the opposite sex was a sin. And I got to tell you a kissing story. This one's kind of bizarre. But I guess in this woman's book, this makes me sleazy, slimy, SLUT. You all know I grew up in South Louisiana in the New Orleans area, right? Right. Mardi Gras. I remember the Mardi Gras, I turned 15. Oh, my word. That was one of the first times I was out for hours and hours and hours among the Mardi Gras crowds without a lot of parental supervision. 1975, and let me tell you something. I kissed so many guys, so many hot guys asked me for a kiss. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, Prairie, but I know what that's like too. So I kissed all these guys, was in the Mardi Gras crowd, and a hot guy would say, "How about a kiss, beautiful?" Well, what are you supposed to say to that? No, I didn't. I kissed all those guys. I kissed all the guys, but none of them cried. And so I started thinking about this woman saying that kissing is just for your husband. Heck no. You say $20. I would now. Back then, I was young and foolish with a heart full of hopes and dreams and a whole lot of lust for some of these guys that weren't wearing a lot in Mardi Gras without understanding quite what that was. So I look back at that particular Mardi Gras as one of the times I had one of the best times at Mardi Gras. I had some wine to drink. I was running around kissing guys, catching stuff off the floats. I was out there for a day and a half before my family finally made me come home. And nothing happened to me. It wasn't like now, if I had a 15-year-old daughter who tried to pull that, I would probably be at her side every second of every minute she was out there among the Mardi Gras crowds. And I'm sure it's not as safe as it was in 1975. So I started thinking about having kissed the guys and made them not cry in relationship to the story, because so many of these funky town, these fundagelicals, fundamentalist evangelicalism, they start majoring in the minors and they miss the entire message. They miss the mercy of Jesus. They miss all the mercy and forgiveness. They miss the fact that Jesus was talking to a woman who'd been shacking up with everybody and their brother at the well, and he didn't throw rocks at her. He didn't say anything about that to her, except he'd heard she'd done that. Hey, Grace Peter. Yeah, yesterday I just put something up. I was ranting about something someone said. It's that time of the year where Anthony Beach Muscles Johnson does his 21 men conference. Starts promoting for it. And people start losing their minds. He and his minions start saying horrible things. The kissing, the whatever. Well, he apparently posted something the other day about one of the things at the conference is going to be how to sleep with 1,400 women. So he's kind of an interesting one. Fundagelicalism has embraced him. He is not religious in any way, shape, or form. He's more of a cross between an incel and a pickup artist. He's been part of the pickup artist community. So now he's trying to train incels how to treat women, and it's not working out well. It's not. Some of the things that he's saying, like learn how to sleep with 1,400 women, just looking at it and going, what the heck is he thinking about? And what the heck are the evangelical crowd doing, hooking up with this guy? He's also done a couple of women's conferences where he's scheduled to talk some of the worst of the women and the female cultural enforcers. Like he had Lori Alexander scheduled to speak once, until one of her followers said, look, you got to look into what this guy's doing. This guy's a pickup artist. He curses a lot. He makes all these statements about women. And then Lori backed out. Fundagelical. Yeah. Right now I'm talking about Anthony Beach Muscles Johnson, who runs the men's, I think it's 31 conference, or was it 21? One of those conferences. And he has sucked in the evangelicals recently, and the fundagelicals, and right up until they discover he does the pickup artist thing. So I guess the point I'm trying to make about him is he has overlap with the evangelical world. And the other day there was a piece by somebody who was affiliated with him, who is also fundagelical, who I'd never heard of before. Some guy had to look up, where he said that that if feminists rule the world and men were not patriarchs ruling the world, that male aggression would go out of control and ruin everything. And or something else he said about sex, but something horrible. So these guys from fundagelicalism have a lot of overlap with guys who are just straight up misogynists. A lot of overlap. And to see female cultural enforcers saying that they're having personal revelation of how kissing is defrauding your husband of your lips. You know, when you get married, your husband doesn't own you, so you're not defrauding him of anything, even if you kissed everybody in Mardi Gras. It just is what it is. I know my husband has kissed a ton of people before he met me, and he hasn't defrauded me of a damn thing. I don't care about that. I don't care about this woman that he kissed in the past. Not at all, because I got him. They didn't. So many of the things that I see on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram from people in the fundagelical world are things that are just pretty horrific. They're not based in any kind of known scripture. They're not based in fact. They're just weird. like the thing about defrauding your husband by having used your lips on other people. Oh my goodness. So that's kind of where my mind is with all of that today. I've been just working on my book. So I'm kind of throwing the floor open today because every time I come on here, people have really great questions about all kinds of things. So ask away. Ask away before I'm forced to tell you more tales of Mardi Gras and some of the crazy stuff that happened. That was my only really crazy Mardi Gras. Before that, I was too young to participate. After that, I was too laser focused on what I was doing to ever be distracted by drunken hijinks in the streets. It was just not something that I participated in much beyond that. Once you've kissed all the boys and they didn't cry, what else is there to do in Mardi Gras? Um, I have seen continuing escalation of war between Molly Golightly and that troll. That's always interesting. But they're throwing out claims of fraud and all sorts of things in the fundraisers. So I don't know where that's going to go or how I feel about it. Also, it's pretty interesting some of the things that happen on Twitter. I am completely blown away. Yeah, completely blown away by a lot of the things that I see happen there. And pray, was it you that I was talking to about the Word of Faith people? Because last night I finally watched a documentary on Word of Faith, and that is definitely a C word. That's a CULT in a way I never dreamed. I saw a special about how they discipline their members, how they're taking them behind the barn pretty much and just beating the holy heck out of them and telling them how evil they are. I got to tell you this, if you're going to a church, the main message is you are evil and you need Jesus because you're evil, and we need to torture you because you're evil. Run like heck, run like fire, because that is not the main message of the Bible. Not at all. Hey, Shelly. Uh, Shelly, that's why I'm doing this so early, because I am fixing to run errands myself. This is so typical of Costa Rica, and I got to tell about Costa Rica story too. We went out. Well, we didn't go out. What am I talking about? This happened, but we didn't go out. The air conditioning unit in the cabina in our guest house died back right before we had my husband's cousin and her girlfriend come stay with us for a week. And I mean, it happened the day they were coming. I got up that morning to clean the guest house, to scrub it thoroughly, switched on the air conditioning to make sure it was working, because the guy who worked on our air conditioners every 6 months said that one was on its last legs, but that had been 5 years before. Well, it died. It died while I was cleaning the guest house, and I can't stick anybody into a guest house at over 100 degrees without air conditioning, particularly coming from the States where everything is horribly air conditioned, which is why when you saw me in my daughter's house, I was primarily out in the unair conditioned sunroom, because that was the only place warm enough for me where I wasn't have to wear long johns and big blankets. Okay, so we didn't immediately replace it. We talked to a couple people, and we had a lot going on right then. I was really sick. If you remember, I was going back and forth, and for a while getting IV medicine and then getting intramuscular. So get them over with. Yeah. So where are they located? I think they're in Missouri is what I remember last night, Jan, from seeing the special. I think they're in Missouri. That was it. So we didn't do anything. We had a lot of stuff going on personally, and nobody was scheduled to come visit us. If anybody had said, hey, I'm coming to visit you next week, we'd have been on the horn right away and gotten an air conditioner. But it was just one of those things that kind of, hey, Queen of Sheba, that kind of slipped through the cracks because we had so many other things going on. So we got back from our trip, And job one was getting that car. So we got our car, went to the bank, making the arrangements to get our money, went and picked out the car, then went and picked it up later. All of that took time. And one of the things on the list was replace the air conditioner in the guest house before anybody else comes to see us, because we have family members that are making noise. They're about to come over. So we called the air conditioner place we used to deal with it. We've dealt with before, we liked. And the guy came over. He said, this was weird. He said, first, he said, I can't drive out to see you. I don't have a truck. So we went and got him because it wasn't that far. And the guy, I thought it was kind of odd. I started talking to my husband about it. I said, hey, Heather from Norway, from Costa Rica. So I went and picked up the guy, and I told my husband, I said, I wonder if he lost his license because of DUI or who knows what else. He just said he no longer had a truck or van that he had access to. And the thing is, this is not some fly-by-night company. This is actually a large air conditioning company right down the road. Dealt with the guy before. He's worked on our car. He worked on our home air conditioning. He's really good. So then he started playing this game where he kept changing the prices on us. And yesterday, when we took out enough money to go pay him and order the AC, he said, no, no, no. He needed an additional $180 to install it. He didn't have the thing that went under it at that time, and we had to pay him 100% up front. Well, we don't pay anybody here 100% up front, because the minute you do that, they screw you over every single time. I tell people coming to Costa Rica, do not do that. If they want a deposit of 50%, that's one thing. You're going to make them work for that last little bit and make sure that it is right before they leave, or you don't pay them. So that was a red flag. So yesterday, we pretty much told that guy to take a hike. He was also telling us he still didn't have access to a truck or a driver's license or car or anything. We were going to have to drive him to pick up the unit and bring the unit and everything back. Well, we bought that small car. We might have been able to do that in our old Honda CRV. Our little crossover does not have room for that. There was no way that we were going to be able to haul that whole set back. So we told him to put a pin in it. We weren't ordering it. So that's my errands that I have to run for the rest of the day. I have to take myself off, my kiss saturated self, since I admitted to having done that when I was 15, off to look at air conditioning units at other places. Our electricity here comes through a cooperative, just like a co-op in the States, and we're members of that co-op. One thing that they have is they have every kind of appliance you could think of, every kind of furniture, every kind of whatever, and it's usually a pretty good deal to go there and buy things cash at the co-op, since we're co-op members. So as soon as my husband gets home, which is probably any minute now, we will be taking off in our blue bomber to go buy an air conditioner unit, or at least look at them and get some names and call around and start again, which is a reality here too. So that's what we'll be doing. And this guy initially quoted us the lowest price of everybody for a Linux unit, which seems to be about the best swamp cooler mini split you can get in Costa Rica. Not the end of it, though. I also have to get some other things done. I have to start lining up quotes for a kitchen remodel, which I'm not looking forward to. It's always something here, always something. And it's always something to have to deal with these folks. So kind of interesting aside, Jim, my husband, is off today, and he's off with the guy who said all the horrible crap and tried to talk him into fixing the old car. So I'm kind of curious how that went, because Jim has not had anything to do with him since the incident with the car. This guy is a full Bible thumping evangelical. He tried to get me to promote his book to you guys here, okay? I went in and took a look at his book, and I said, I need a review copy before I could decide if it would be something that I would expose to people I talk to or not here. And he refused to give me a review copy so I could pay $19.99 like everybody else. I was calling. It didn't work that way when somebody tells you to review something. It certainly never worked that way in No Longer Quivering when somebody wanted me to read and write a review of their book. Copy of the book, please. Always. So there is that. Okay, you guys. So I am getting ready to go off and read and see what's going on in that trolls world. See what's going on with Katie Joy. I have no clue. Haven't paid attention to that this week beyond just at the beginning of the week. I hate talking about her, but sometimes there's no other thing you can do but talk about her because all the stuff she does is just so bizarre and so out there that you just have to. Okay, I'm going to go back to my book. I'm doing a little writing, a little editing. Just happen to be stuck on the horns of personal revelation today, something that I saw so much of it in my old church, and something that I actually suffered from. And that happened also when we went through what did they call that? Deliverance ministry. Some of the things that they said were ridiculous. Most of them were so far off the charts, it wasn't even close to being real. They said my husband liked fishing in Star Wars. Let me tell you something. He does not like fishing. And he can't stand any kind of science fiction. So when I read that, when I read that that's what they decided, I was like, I don't know who your magic telephone is hooked up to, but it is not Jesus. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go. Yeah, I got to sift through that crap and see if I can figure out what's going on now. See you later.